Thank you. Is the presentation over? Are you going to do that?
I'm going to do that.
Excellent. How are you guys doing tonight?
Great.
I don't believe you. How are you doing tonight?
Great.
Okay. Now, you probably didn't catch it, but there was a funny thing that just happened. When she was reading that, she goes, run the business on 3.5 hours a day. Dave and I turned to each other simultaneously and go, dang it, we got to update that. Because now it's down to an hour a day. and it's like, oh, that's right. That's the outdated slide. It just got better because systems, we get better. How many of you know how to tie your shoe? Show of hands. I didn't ask you, did you tie your shoe today? Come on, how many of you know how to tie your shoe? How many of you today are better at tying your shoe than you were the first time you tried? Yes? That's my point. Real estate investing, business, it's a skill, okay? That's just how it works. That time should go down because I am definitely one of those time guys. I'm all about how much time it takes me to get anything done. I literally measure my income per minute. That's like what I do because that keeps me focused on what I need to do each and every day to make sure that I'm producing value in the marketplace. Because if I can't if you're like, damn, I don't want to measure my income on per minute, that's going to be a small number. I understand. That's where we start, but it's not where we end up. And that's what's really important to understand. Now, when I saw the introductions going around, there were a number of people who were absolutely brand new to real estate. Do me a favor, stand up. I want to see you guys again. Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Who else? Yes. I remember you too. Yep. Perfect. You're the guys I'm the most excited about because you have no bad habits yet. All of these other guys and gals that you listen to, you're like, wow, one day I want to be like them. I know you said that to yourself, okay? But they probably got some bad habits. And tonight, you're going to watch me battle with them on the new ideas that I'm going to talk about so that they can then take advantage of something that I think is absolutely wonderful, okay? Let me just put it that way. Now, a couple of ground rules. I have this thing. It's called 100% participation. 100% what? Participation. That means everybody, right? So often I will ask a yes or no question. There are only 2 options. How many? 2 options with a yes/no question. That means either you are of one opinion or the other. You said you wanted to be successful. Here's a tip. Just learn how to make a decision. It's yes or no. There is no middle, okay? And it's literally that simple in so many ways, okay? And I will do my best to make the questions really obvious so that you know. Because a second ago we just said, how many people know how to tie their shoe? That was, that's hopefully everyone, right? It's a yes or no question. The reason this is important is because I can't participate at the level required in your life in order for you to see the results that you want. I can only do it for me, right? You say you want 7 figures or 6 figures or 7 figures, whatever, how many ever figures you want. You say you want that. Well, then you've got to do something. If you're not doing 7 figures today, the level with which you are participating is the problem. Does that make sense? This is also where I should give you a warning. No one that I am aware of that is close to me has ever called me gentle or I am not accused of pulling my punches. I will tell you exactly how I see it and exactly how I feel about it. Now, some of you may get offended by that, but whose problem is it? Not mine. Does that make sense? Yeah. But I want you to answer your question because I want you to understand one thing. I'm doing it in service of you becoming a bigger, better, badder version of the person that's sitting right here. Write this down. I will never out-earn my personal growth. You won't. Part of the challenge for me in this short time we have together is to try to get you to grow a little bit. Even if that means I just plant a foreign idea and have it begin to grow a little bit. Even if you walk out of here going, I hate that guy. But wait a minute. That's fine by me. I can live with that because that means you listened long enough to let the idea sink in. And the reason I'm saying all of this is because having taught about short-term rentals now for a number of years, the group of individuals that I have the hardest time with, anybody want to take a guess? Seasoned real estate investors. Because we've got habits and we have a way of thinking, and it's fine, but it's completely different business when it comes to short-term rentals versus long-term rentals. And if you can let that sink in, I can show you a path that will allow you to achieve some very phenomenal things, at least what's been phenomenal for us. And that's what I get excited about. I get excited because in my real estate past, many of you may know me from having hundreds of multifamily doors. Great. We did apartment buildings as small as 8 units, as large as 182 units. Maybe you know me from commercial real estate, where we were doing commercial retail. Great. Maybe you knew because I had hundreds of single-family houses, which I no longer like. I am with you. Okay? I am not a single-family house guy. It's just like, I don't want those anymore. And then I had hundreds of mortgages instead, like being the guy receiving the money. I've done all of those things. And here's what I'm to tell you. I started out, when we first started, it was, what year is this? So it was 11 years ago. In 2008 is when we got our first one. It was June 18th, 2008. San Bernardino. It was a single family house. And I was a wholesaler at that time. So we did about 200 wholesale transactions. That was my intro into real estate, was figuring out how to get them under contract really fast, sell them really fast. We typically did it in about 72 hours and did between $2,000 to $26,000. Now, I want you to hear that, but understand underneath all that, what was going on is that the lovely woman you saw earlier up here, when she's pregnant, she has a condition known as hyperemesis. What that simply means is that she cannot eat or drink simultaneously when she is pregnant. How many of you ate or drank today? Okay, do you understand? How long you can't go very long without doing those things. And when pregnant, you should do more of it. I've never been pregnant, but that's what I've been told. Make sense? And now during that same time, I got really stressed because I could do nothing. There was literally, what could I do? So I went to go blow off steam. I grew up playing basketball. You probably noticed I'm taller than normal. And but I went to go play volleyball, and there's this thing called a spike. And I'm like, oh, cool. All I got to do is jump. All I got to do is jump, hit the ball. I can do that. That seems simple enough. No one talked to me about the landing part. And what happened is that I landed on a guy's head, punctured my lung, and what developed from a hole in my lung is I could not walk and talk simultaneously without fainting. That, on top of a credit score of 398, squatting in bank-owned property, is how we started our real estate career. So, let me say this a different way. If tonight you are not worried about your significant other dying, if tonight you have a place to stay, if sometime today you have eaten, and if I just educated you that credit scores could go down to 398 because you had no clue. You were ahead of where we started. That should make a lot of you feel a lot better. Does that make sense? Okay? So that's where we started, but where we start is not necessarily where we stay. Because remember, I said earlier, you will not out-earn your personal growth. And that's what's been happening for me since June of 2008. It's been just a continual journey of personal growth. And I've gone through many different transactions, all kinds of things, raised tens of millions of dollars, taught people all across the globe to do the same, and that's what's great. It's a fun life. But here's what I say all this to say this one thing. For those of you who are brand new, knowing everything I know today about all the types of real estate that's out there, if you were to ask me right now, if I had to start over, build a brand new portfolio, what strategy would I use? I would use short-term rentals. There is no other strategy that I would use. Now, the challenge is, for those of you who are brand new, you're like, okay, cool, that sounds great. The seasoned people are like, what are you talking about, Willis? That's literally what's going through their head. They're like, you don't get it. And now I've got to spend the next little bit of time explaining to them why it's so great, and you'll learn too, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Now, also with that, I've also learned that this is probably not your first time hearing words like short-term rentals. How many of you have heard, here's a yes-no question, how many of you have heard of a small little company by the name of AirBnB? You've at least heard of it. Okay, perfect. Great. They're what we call a marketplace. A what? A marketplace. Just a place where buyers and sellers meet. All right? I say that to say you do not have an Airbnb business. That is by far one of my largest pet peeves, because you sell your business and yourself short when you say you have an Airbnb business. No, you have a short-term rental business. You just happen to acquire customers through a marketplace by the name of Airbnb, and that's really, really important, okay? It's really, really important. Now, who here came here with a list of questions already? Be honest, okay, good. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, excellent, because they've heard about this, and they maybe saw something on the news, and they got more questions, and they want to know. How many of you came because you're just like flat curious because you keep hearing buzz and you don't really know what it is? Yeah? Excellent. Okay, this is giving me an idea of where you guys are. My intent is, because I know how powerful those questions are and that curiosity is, my intent is to get to those questions and that curiosity as quickly as humanly possible. All right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay the groundwork and do my best to get to the point to where we can just get those questions out, because I want them. I want all of them. Do I have any real estate attorneys in here? You're going to make really good. No? Okay. Any realtors? I'm assuming more than one. Okay, perfect. Any homeowners association presidents or anyone on a homeowners association? No? Okay. Oh, yes? You're on?
Well, no.
Okay.
I have
You have what?
Oh, no, never mind.
Okay. All right. I'm just thinking of all the people who like to fight me right now. You know, anyone from the city, government, planning, zoning. I'm fine with all of it. So even if you are and you're hiding out, that's fine. Ask your question. It's completely okay. I've probably been asked so many times. It's insane. But let me ask this. How many of you have heard of this strategy? You've thought about it. You're like, man, maybe this will work for my portfolio, but you've been straight afraid. Okay, that's what I thought too. And I'm hopefully going to be able to get to those questions as well. But I want to lay a couple of groundworks, because oftentimes, so let's have some fun, when I say short-term rental, or when you hear your friends saying, ooh, I'm going to stay at an Airbnb, what comes to mind? What does it look like? You guys tell me. What does it look like? A house? Who said a house? A single-family house? Okay. What is it? How does, when you walk in, what do you see? You think of a hotel room. Okay, that makes sense. What else? What'd you say? You're like Airbnb, bed and breakfast. There should be some food there. Got that. Yes. A cool experience. I like you. Is it Stefan? Yes, perfect. Anybody else? Yeah. A room in someone's house. Absolutely possible. Yes. It should be in the best location for tourists. This is interesting. I like this. I like where we're going with this. Anybody else? What do you think of when your friends say, I'm going to get an Airbnb? What do you think? What's that? Oh, you already flat expect it to be cheaper than a hotels. He's like, if I ain't saving money, I ain't staying there. That's what he just said. Okay, yeah.
Well, depending on the marketplace, kind of white glove service.
White glove service. Okay, so he just went the other direction with that. Yeah.
Opposite direction, just someone's house that they're not there at the moment.
Someone's house, then they're not there at the moment. Yes.
Human contact.
A human contact. Interesting point, my friend. Pay attention. I like that one. Aren't some of you who have short-term rental experience, you're laughing at the same time because you know why I'm saying this. But here's a couple of them. When that picture in your head, okay, you remember that room in someone's house or that single-family house, did that come to mind? Did something like that? Let me see, which one is this? I don't have the control over the lights. I don't know where those are. Is that LA? No. I don't know whose that is. They start to look the same, but I don't know which one that is.
Hollywood.
No.
Hollywood.
Oh, it is? It is! Okay, thank you. I'm confused. Yeah, okay. But you didn't have this in your mind, did you? What about this? Yeah? No? How many of you are willing to admit that this looks better than what you thought in your head? Okay. Okay. You had an idea in your head, and you're like, oh my God, we're the rats, right? And then I'm showing you this, and now you're a little bit more curious. How about, is this what you're expecting? This is actually one of our units in LA, to be specific, I can tell. Yes, because that's definitely LA, hardwood floors. Here's another one. What about that one? Didn't have that. My point is, when you're looking at a full kitchen, nice heater, that one, actors love this one, and I haven't figured out why, but they come and stay in this one a long time. I don't know what show they're on right now, but there's an actor staying there, and they just rent for a significant period of time while they're shooting. It's definitely interesting, serving the individuals in the entertainment industry. Full kitchen? Yeah, absolutely. These are the thoughts. How many of you like that? Dedicated workspace. All of these little things matter because there's one very basic, most important question that we often skip. And it's what the entire business is built on. It's whom do you want to serve? Yes, we use an apartment building. Yes, you can use a single-family house. Yes, you can have a room inside someone else's house. You can have, and I've seen this, you can take your backyard, campfire in the middle, 6 covered wagons, and you've got 6 spaces to rent. No joke. Because what Stefan said is exactly what it's about. He said a cool experience. Yes, we leverage real estate, but it's not about the real estate. It's about the experience at the piece of real estate. So what does that mean? That means I can take this exact same, this is also in LA, this exact same unit, and I can make it the Walmart experience, the Target experience, the Nordstrom experience. I can take a tent in the middle of the desert and make it the Walmart experience, the Target experience, or the Nordstrom experience. I can build a tree house. Do you get where I'm coming from with this? It's about the experience at the piece of real estate. That's the biggest difference. Now, when I say it's the experience at the piece of real estate, does school district matter? No. But if I'm thinking long-term real estate, does school district matter? Yes. If I'm thinking long-term real estate, might I want to do some research about things like, I don't know, traffic patterns, how far it is from the job center, the demographics of which employers are there. Yeah, these are all, those things are absolutely there. But you know what matters more than all of that? It's why, when you're doing short-term rentals, what matters is, why is the person coming to the area? Why? And that's when you learn how to answer that question, everything else gets really, really easy. Someone said something about, I just want to do whatever real estate makes money. Who was that? I heard, perfect. I love it. Whatever makes money, that's what I'm doing. Here's the challenge, though. The challenge, though, is that now I'm saying to you, I need you to decide whom do you want to serve. Out of the wide demographics of individuals, whom do you want to serve? Because here's the other challenge, is that some of you are wondering, will my property work? And the answer is, whom do you want to serve? That's the only way I can ever answer the question, is whom do you want to serve? So when you get clear on that, understand that most of the questions that you guys are going to ask me, I'm going to start with, whom do you want to serve? You're going to answer that question, and then I'm going to be able to then help you figure out the strategy or how to make it make sense and how to make it work. Now, with that as the foundation, here's the next piece that this is all I need you to understand, and this whole business will make sense for you. By a show of hands, who has ever in your entire life bought something from a vending machine? Excellent. What that means is that you have already done and practiced this exact same strategy without even realizing. You've participated in this exact same strategy without even realizing it. Here's what I mean. When we're doing traditional real estate, let me know when I step a wrong foot. But what happens is you get your units together, it's vacant, and then what you say is you try to find someone who will purchase 365 days from you consecutively and pay you every 30 days or so. Is that close to accurate? Is that what you're doing? So I'm going to call that wholesaling. What you did is you wholesaled time. Does that make sense? And all I'm trying to say is retail time in as small of an increment as 1 day. Develop a system that allows you to retail time in small increments of 24-hour periods. That's it. Now, we're going to have, do I have anyone who has studied economics, likes economics, like at all? Yes? Okay, cool. So I'm going to introduce everyone to this one thing really fast. And I'm just curious if anyone, that's not the, oh, they're in my back pocket, that's why. Haha. This is something that you may want to study some more later. But this answers the question for all of the regulations that you're concerned about and everything that's going on. It's called Jevons paradox. Who's heard of it? Anybody? Yes? Oh, I know why you have. Okay, excellent. No problem. It's called Jevons paradox. Let me give it to you in its simplest form. When you make any resource more efficient to obtain, the demand for that resource increases. Period. A simple illustration for you. In 1996, how many of you had a cell phone? Anybody? Okay. How many of you today have a cell phone? It's because it got more, that device became more efficient and the demand for it increased. It's the same idea. So as real estate gets more efficient, the buying and selling of it, retailing it, gets more efficient, the demand for it increases. Knowing what you know about the cell phone, what might that mean? Let's have this conversation. What might that mean for your real estate inventory? What do you think? The demand for it is going to increase. But is it going to be a wholesale demand or a retail demand? Think about it. Just think about what's happening. Because as it gets more efficient for you to sell it on a per day basis, won't the marketplace become accustomed to selling things and buying things on a per day basis? Let me give you another company which will make you go, oh, that makes sense. You heard of Uber? You realize that they've done the exact same thing when it comes to things like time? Because that's what they actually sell, by the way. They sell time, not transportation. They sell time. I Uber everywhere. I do not have a car. We Ubered up here. We'll Uber back. It's cheaper to Uber, which is why we do it. Not just in dollars. So let's just pretend for the sake of this argument that we're not talking about money in terms of how much does it cost to operate the car, the oil changes, and then the insurance, and then the tires, and then the brakes, and then something else breaks, and then those lights, and then you get where I'm going with that. But just think about how much more money, how much more value could you bring to the marketplace? You realize at the average stoplight you're spending 2 minutes? That sounds like, what's the big deal? It's 2 minutes. That's the big deal. When you travel anywhere, it takes you 15 minutes. Or no, my friend, was it Joey? You said your commute is how long now? 1.5 hours. 1.5 hours. Is that one way?
Yes, one way.
Ooh, that's 3 hours of productivity. What if he was bringing $500 of value to the marketplace per hour? Could we say that cost him $1,500? Is the Uber going to cost $1,500? Nope. It's cheaper. Let that sit for you. And my only point is, there are so many examples of this already happen, of Jevons paradox in play. It's coming to you whether you want it to or not. Okay, you can resist it all you want. It's here. The idea is out of the box. So what's going to happen? You see trends where millennials tend to they don't want to own it. Can I just use it and pay you for the time that I have it? That trend is here with real estate, and it's only going to get more efficient as technology does. And that's the thing that we're all really fighting against. That's the thing the politicians are fighting against. You don't win against this. You just don't. You find a way to work with it. That's what will happen. Okay, how fast? I don't know. But that's what will happen because the idea is already out of the bag. All right, but now I want to get to some numbers, and then we can get to some questions. What you see right here is, so this was one of our low months back when we only had 19 locations. It's probably 8-9 months into the business-ish or so. And in a month, those 19 locations, and this time we were primarily primarily one-bedroom units. How many of you have apartment buildings here, like in LA or around? Yeah, one? Anybody else? Okay, how many of you are rehabbing or know someone rehabbing apartment buildings or fourplexes, et cetera? You know anyone like that? Okay, let me just tell you this right now. My perfect customer is someone who's in the middle of a rehab and is 100% vacant and would like that thing to get filled because I'm your guy, all right? Because I can get you to 0%. What percent? 0% vacancy really, really quickly. We've done this with a number of landlords in the LA and Long Beach areas. Now, here's my point. $75,000 on a monthly gross revenue total. What's the question you're asking yourself in your head? What's that? Yeah, I know. Thank you. Come on, just say it. I know you're already thinking it. So let me ask you this. If you had a business that was producing $75,000, what would be a good net profit for you? You tell me what the number is. You tell me what's good. What would be acceptable? If I had to do this work and my business produced $75,000, what would be a good number? 30%? I'm sorry? 60%. Okay. That's fine. There is no wrong number. I just want to know. Anybody else?
8%.
Who said 8? What do you do?
That's just what I heard from franchises. That's typical.
Got it. Yeah, you just gave me such a realistic number. It piqued my curiosity. I was like, he has business experience or something. Because understand, that's a very normal number, the 8%. All right? Now, I always tell people, regardless of geographic location, that you should think about that number being around 20%. That's where you start, okay? It only goes up from there. And who said 60? 60% totally can happen, but it depends on one very important thing. What is that one important thing? Whom do you want to serve? See, I heard someone gave me the standard real estate answer. Who said location? Yes. Someone says location, and it's not location. It's whom do you want to serve? And let me tell you why it's not location. Because I could take a property in the middle of the Everglades surrounded by alligators, and do you realize that there's someone who wants that experience? It ain't me. But somebody does. And they will pay you for that experience to sit on an airboat with the fan and Bubba to fly around the alligators. They'll totally do it. It's just not me, okay? It's about the experience, not the actual piece of real estate. So please hear me. I'm going to say that over and over again. Did you have a question, or you're just saying, okay. So understand, 20% is let's call that norm, all right? That's just norm. Across the board on an annualized basis, 20% there. There are many other things that you can do to bump that number up, especially because I'll give you a very easy example. Who's been to a hotel and has ever paid for Wi-Fi? Who's been to a hotel, ever paid for Wi-Fi and still realized it was horrible? like, man, I want my money back, right? That's exactly what I'm talking about. But we can do the exact same thing. My only point here is to show you that in a very short period of time, that across LA, and that's what this was, across LA and Orange County, you're able to make that happen. Now, what is interesting is that was based upon 91% occupancy. It's based on 192 days of operation. So here's what I'm saying. I sell time. That's my inventory. Time expires. Just like any other options, all that other stuff. Make sense? So because of that, we use a very sophisticated pricing model to make sure we do our best to sell time for the maximum dollar amount that we can. Think of your option premium, right? It's the exact same idea, but I know some of you did some research, and they said you can only get 60% occupancy, right? That's what they said. When you're getting lower than 80, especially if you're getting lower than 80%, if you're practicing this right now and you're getting lower than 80%, you have a systems issue specifically in your pricing, usually in your target market, that's just not been addressed. Consistently across the board, regardless of location, understand what I'm communicating to you. We have students in multiple locations all across the globe that consistently get 80+% year round, regardless of how much snow is on the ground, which is crazy. But that's what we do. That's what the business is about, okay? What's also interesting is when it comes down to it, what we've done is we're breaking apart into a 2-bedroom versus a 1-bedroom, that type of situation. Because people ask me this question all the time, 1 bedrooms or 2 bedrooms. Again, what is the answer? Whom do you want to serve? Okay. Whom do you want to serve is the key. But here's what I want to say to you. Okay, who's my apartment owners again? Apartment owners, where are you? That's 1. Anyone? 4 plexes? Okay, got it. And where? In LA? Long. Okay, even better. Uh-oh. Man, I lost one of the mics. I'm sorry. So, the apartment. What is it a studios, 1 bedrooms? What's your unit mix?
1 beds.
All 1 beds, okay.
And a 2+1.
And the 2+, okay, so let's focus on the 1 beds for now. What is market rent for you?
About $1,300.
$1,300. That sounds, you're definitely in Long Beach. That sounds right. That sounds exactly right. I'm going to guess around 500 square feet?
Yeah.
Okay?
500.
Okay, sure. That sounds 100% perfect. We have, right now, 8 units in Long Beach that are 400 square feet, studios, not even one bedrooms. And I would love for you, because you have the most market knowledge in that area, to guess what we tend to gross on those same units on a monthly basis.
Where are we located?
We're 0.8 miles from the convention center. Near, what is that high school? Whoa, where'd you go? I think it's St. Anthony's. You know where St. Anthony's, and then there's a, I forget the name of the elementary school that's right around the corner.
Okay. I'm not familiar with that. What area?
Near downtown.
What's your nearest?
Yeah. Okay, totally understood.
So,
Okay,
you're
got it.
asking me to guess the revenue on short term?
Yeah,
So it's obviously going to be much bigger.
it is going to be bigger. I'm trying to give you I want to see, you're the one with the market knowledge, and what I want to see is if you can come anywhere near to what that would be.
Yeah. I was going to say 5-fold, but it's probably going to be more.
It is wow, 5-fold. That's awesome. So you think it makes $6,500 is what he's saying. If it made $6,500, we're gonna have a. But I like it though.
I was going to guess lower.
Because I have no idea.
How much lower?
I was going to guess $4,000 a month.
$4,000. Okay. 2,000.
Well, what, we talking about a single unit?
Yeah, 1 unit.
Okay, I know you're talking about his fourplex.
No. He was using. I was using him as the anchor, as the base point, because he's got a apartment building in Long Beach, and I'm like, cool, I can relate to that. That Long Beach 1,300 that he's talking about. What I'm saying is, what do you think that so his 1,300 that's his gross revenue on that unit. I'm asking, what do you think the gross revenue is? Because mine's smaller. 3,000?
3 times.
About 3 times. Got it. Yes, you're both very close. Because what it comes down to is I tell everybody to start at 2 times. That's the minimum of where it should be, but ultimately 3. Once you begin to optimize your market, optimize your pricing. Understand, where's Latanya? She disappeared on me. When you understand your design, that makes all the difference. And I know it sounds crazy, but it makes all the difference. You miss your design, you miss your photography, you describe it wrong. All of these things make all the difference with how much money you earn. And if you pay attention to each one of those, yes, we're talking $2,800, $2,900, $3,200, $4,000 a month on a studio apartment. Let me say it a different way. What would that do for your net operating income? Because expenses go up approximately 10%. Just think about that for a second. Now, that means you're being the operator. So here, typically what we do is we find people who are my perfect customer, as I said, is someone who's in the middle of a rehab, not quite yet done, but wants to be 100% occupied. That's perfect for me because I'll take the entire building today. That's literally what the offer we're making. In your performer where you put 8% vacancy, we're now going to call that 0 because that's what happens. I'm going to pay the rent to you over and over again. But let's also talk about something because I know some of you are thinking it. When you see that photo and you choose to stay there, when you get there, what do you expect it to look like? Exactly like that. But okay, hold on. Let's have a conversation. What if 200 people stayed there first? When you walk through, what do you expect it to look like? Just like that. So let me ask you a different question. When you have a long-term tenant and they've stayed there 200 days, what does it look like? Not like that. That is my only point. Not like that. Let me translate that for you into owner speak. It means I'm your best tenant. Not because I say I'm going to be your best tenant, but because my customer demands I be your best tenant. Because that's what I sold them. I sold them this experience. Clean walls, no scuff marks, no dust bunnies on top of the refrigerator. And I'm not even going to ask you when's the last time you looked at the top of your ceiling fan. Yeah, right? Just think about those things. I can't get away with a loose knob on the kitchen sink, loose door handle, snaking the drain all the time, like all the time, which is one of the reasons why I don't like wedding parties, by the way, because all the girls want to come over to your place and do their hair, and it goes straight in the drain, and it stays there and becomes an issue. I don't like wedding parties for that reason at all. It's like no wedding parties, just none. I don't care how many people I don't care how much you're paying. You're going to clog my drains with your hair. That's just literally no. I just don't do it. But this is my point. How many of you would like to be able to lease your building to a tenant and know that 30, 60, 90, 120 days, 400 days later, when you walk in, the carpet is clean, it looks like that the pillows are in the right place, the white wall is still white, and it doesn't smell like cat pee. Yeah? That's my point. We work with landlords for that very purpose. We preserve their asset, not because we're just nice people, but because that's what it takes for us to earn the 2x to 3x of the revenue. And don't get me wrong, it's a lot of work, and we have a lot of automation that happens underground. There's a ton of communication. I'm very certain that while I've been standing here right now, we've gotten 1, probably 2, maybe even 3 different reservations. But all of that communication, how to arrive, the cleaners, all that stuff, it's automated. That's how you get it down to an hour. Because technology is coming for your business. That's really what I am here to tell you. As a traditional landlord, understand, I said to myself, I saw this and said, you know what? This is what we're doing. Because this is where it's going to be. But from a numerical standpoint, here's why it makes the most sense. When you are first getting started in real estate, there are so many skills that you're trying to collapse all at once to get one deal done. You got to know how to find it. You got to know how to fund it. In some cases, fix it. Then you got to learn how to manage it. And you got to do it all right now. Like right now. And you've got to make a significant financial investment to get that started. And then if you get all that right, you're looking at a payback period. It's going to take you, 6, 7, 8 years to actually get your money back? Assuming you don't have some sort of fancy refinance strategy going on. It's just straight cash flow. That's what it's going to take. That is the reality. What happens is that, and this is how we ended up here. It's because when I was first looking at this, we were going to take $100,000, take over a property down in Mission Viejo where I live, take it over. It was a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house. We were going to take it over, $100,000, take it over subject to, outfit it. And then we were like, cool, we got one. But then I stopped and I did the math. And the math told me that if I take that same $100,000 and I leased 10 properties, because I needed control, not equity, not ownership. I needed control. If I take those same 10, it told me that in 18 months or less, I could have my $100,000 back and still have the actual 10 units in operation. Let me say it differently. What ends up happening is it takes us a long time to set that capital aside. And then we want to have a bigger portfolio. But then we're like, how do I get more money? But what if we, instead of spending the goose, what if we turned that into a goose that kept laying golden down payment eggs? That's literally what this ends up doing. So after you, and I call it, it's a 3-phase business. Phase 1, learn how to get one, because that's a lot of work. But in phase 2, this is where you go to 5, 10, 20. Our best student has just over 100 of these in LA. Let me say that a different way. We're talking 6 figures on a month, multiple 6 figures on a monthly basis. Okay? And again, operated very seamlessly. And then what ends up happening is that once you start earning every month what you used to earn a year, you now have extra cash. Where you're actually able to put to the side a down payment every 90 days and buy another 5, 10, 20 unit building. And that's just the plan. We've been able to increase the grade of our real estate from the C-class stuff we used to do to the A-class stuff and the B-class stuff. I'm excited about that because that's now what I think about as retirement, because that's what happens. But it's a lot of interworking systems in order to make it happen. And that's where the magic is. Because right now, you just have to be present, meaning you don't even have to be good. I've seen photos of a picnic table in the kitchen, and people will have reviews because that's all it took to get them to say, yeah, I'll stay there. Now, I don't want to know what customer they attracted. I have no idea who that is. But right now, you don't have to be good. You just have to be present, because people are literally throwing money to stay somewhere, to have the LA experience without having to pay the LA price tag. Because oftentimes, yes, we are less expensive. And I know what you're thinking. But Jay, that regulation is coming. Let's pretend that it's actually coming. We can debate a whole nother time about why it's not. Would love to. But let's pretend that it is. One of the biggest uses that we have discovered is transitioning families and corporations, as well as what happens when your property becomes unavailable due to things like flooding. We do a lot of business because people go, my house just flooded and I need a place to stay while it gets fixed. We do a lot of business because, hey, I'm a new CEO coming to XYZ. Can I stay with here while I work on the Absolutely. We do a lot of business because, especially right now, well, earlier this year it was, hey, the pilot season is coming, and me and my kid, little Johnny, is going to be a superstar. And we need a place to stay while he goes on his go-sees and his auditions. Cool. That's code for people stay a lot longer than 1 day. Right now, our average is 5.6 days, but at any given time, across our 27 locations, we will have 6, 7, 8 people who have stayed with us many months. They will pay upfront $20,000, $30,000 to make sure they got their space for the time that they're here. I like getting paid up front. Feels kind of good. And knowing that all I have to do is keep delivering the same quality service over and over and over again. And when you can automate it, it gives me time to do stuff that I actually care about, which is planting these ideas into your head so that you can take them and go, but what, Jay, what about? And all of that stuff. Okay? And that's what I want to do now. I want to give you the opportunity to pummel me with all of the questions that are in your head, all of the curiosity, all of the doubt, all of the fear. Whew, I can't believe I said that one. Let it go. Now is your time, because I've probably been asked. And so that we're clear, our students are in Canada, Russia, the good Korea. Which one is that? South, exactly. So we've got students all over the place that are practicing, Ireland, right? All over the place that are practicing this strategy. And occasionally, and what we love to do is occasionally we'll bring them in for one of our summits to where they come and I finally get to meet them in person. And it's really cool when that happens. We get to see them, we get to introduce them to the team, show them how it really works. So we've got a wealth of knowledge amongst us about how this works in many different jurisdictions. That's why I'm saying it. So give me your questions. Yes. Ooh, this is going to be good. I like that. There were so many. Yes.
All right. So I know the model you were basically talking about are corporate rentals, like long stays, traveling nurses, and things like that.
Yes. Travel nurses have they have an issue, but yes, right. I don't mind them.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm really convinced on the model. I actually took a course
Okay.
on this.
Was it Brian Page?
Al Williams.
Okay. Keep going.
Yeah. So the one challenge, the caveat that I found that I struggled with
Yes.
is the fact that I didn't want to rent these places in my name. I wanted to put them under an LLC.
I agree.
Right. So when I approached like multiple
Mm-hmm.
different owners
Yep.
in that aspect.
Yep.
Actually, I think most of the time I was talking to, I talked to owners sometimes and then property managers, but they didn't want to do it under a corporation. They wanted to do it under my name.
Yeah.
Which was a challenge.
That is true.
So,
So what's your question?
well, basically so when you're doing this, are you finding like your places that you have, are those under your name or are they under a corporation?
All of our students are counseled and taught how to get it under a corporation.
Got it. Okay. All right.
Which type of corporation? That depends on whatever attorney they're talking about, whether it's LLC, LP. We happen to use an S corporation because that's our preference.
Yeah.
But yes, always under a corporation.
So that's what I have too. Okay.
Yes.
That was a challenge. That was the one.
Absolutely.
The people I know that are doing this, all of the people I know, like I have a friend in San Francisco that does this.
Oh, that's a tough market.
Yeah, he does very well though, but he's doing it under his name. So
Yeah.
everybody I talk to, I'm like,
And that's a problem for me
Yeah,
because
that's
there's a certain amount of liability that goes with that I don't like.
exactly.
Because I'll give you a case in point. At the end of September, we had a guest who stayed in one of our Long Beach units, and the carbon monoxide alarm went off. And now, in this particular case, we actively monitor because, again, the type of service that we're providing, I believe we should. So we actively monitor. That's code for the fire department was on scene within 9 minutes. They had been there 2 weeks already, and now the carbon monoxide alarm goes off. Here's my point. After they depart, because the fire department tells them to leave, and I'm like, okay, cool, no problem. Here's your money back for the days you didn't stay. No problem. They turn around and try to sue for exposure to carbon monoxide. Now, mind you, what's really interesting is that they voluntarily went down to the hospital, and in order to test for carbon monoxide exposure, you have to submit to a blood test. Their blood test comes back. Not only was there no carbon monoxide risk, there was a significant amount of, what was their drug of choice? Heroin. That's right. So understand, they did that voluntarily. But we still had to deal with the process. Does that make sense? Yeah. We still had to deal with the process, but knowing that that process was not only covered because we had the asset protection of an entity, but there's also insurance for this. So for those of you who are landlords freaking out about what I just said, understand if you're working with a quality operator, we have insurance that covers us and you. Period. Enough said.
Right.
Yep.
So obviously I'm going to ask City of LA. Then
I was waiting. I was wondering when this was coming.
right, just throw it up. So the two restriction, one is total days restriction, and also owner occupied.
Yep. Are you which? Okay, hold on. Which one are you talking about right now?
LA.
LA. Got
The
it.
new
Perfect.
one that's
Got it.
about to go into effect.
Got it. All right. So I love it when this happens, because here's the challenge when you understand newspapers are designed to sell newspapers. They're not designed to teach you how to find opportunity. Okay, so you must understand that. I laid the groundwork earlier that Jevons paradox is happening whether they like it or not. Okay, same thing happened with eBay. Same thing happened with alcohol. Same thing happened with tobacco, assisted living facilities. Someone was doing those. There was a time where they weren't popular in neighborhoods. Anyway, they got over it, and they'll get over this too. The number one thing that I always want you to do this right now if you like, run a Google search for the actual ordinance. You won't find it. You won't find it. I can't obey something that they haven't actually published. That's the first thing that I find curious. I also happen to know that that's still being debated, and even if it does go through, let me address your real question. The way the city of LA and the way that ordinance as purported to go covers two completely separate things. There's what they call home sharing, and then there's what they call vacation rentals. It only addresses home sharing, not vacation rentals. Does that make sense? Vacation rentals is what I'm talking about when it comes down to renting out an entire space that you do not live in and that you're doing it as a business, which is over here, which has not been addressed and is not addressed by the current version of what the newspaper has reported is should be there whenever they decide to actually publish it to let us read it. I would love to know. But I'm also certain that it's going to change in form before it actually gets done. Here's why. The city of LA has collected, I think in 2018, $67 million in what is known as transient occupancy tax. Now, let's pretend I'm a politician. Let's pretend I'm a politician in LA. And I'm a politician in LA and the city is already broke. Am I going to get reelected if I say, you know what? I need you to vote for me. I just got rid of the $67 million because we clearly didn't need it, but I need you to vote for me anyway. Think about that. Anything they do, day restrictions, all of that hits right there at the transient occupancy tax. They don't have enough money as it is. But even if they did, how many people do you think are currently working in the code enforcement department to address this one issue? There's one guy. Literally one guy. People on our team have met him. There's one guy. LA's big. They have a problem of enforcement is where I'm coming from. Because I told you it was on the internet, right? So how are they going to know how many days any particular unit has been rented? How are they going to know? Because isn't it a violation of privacy for Airbnb to give this information to the city? It is. Didn't New York just get sued for asking for that? Huh. And Airbnb is only one marketplace. So they're going to do it to HomeAway? Oh, okay. What about Travelocity? What about Expedia? Do you get where I'm going with this? This is far from over and they're going to figure it out. I'm not telling you to do anything that's not inside the ordinance. Problem is we don't even know what the ordinance looks like right now. I'm not overly worried about it. I don't think we should be either. They're going to figure it out. The same thing happened when it came to sales tax on the internet. How many of you remember that one? They're like, what state gets the money? They eventually figured that out. And you know what? Sales on the internet did not stop or slow down. They kept going. Why? Jevons paradox. Retail got more efficient. How many of you love Amazon Prime? I know I do. One of my favorite tools with this business is what's called Amazon Prime Now. Oh, I love that thing. Because our staff, we can get a message. Hey, you know what? We're out of toilet paper. Okay, no problem. Someone goes on, orders it, toilet paper arrives within 60 minutes. It's great. We've done it with blankets, coffee makers. People get angry if the coffee goes bad, by the way. They really do. Yes. Anaheim is a different animal for a different reason because they have labor unions that they're dealing with. We'll call it the mouse, okay?
Well, the mouse actually does
Well, the city cares. Here's what it comes down to. Right now, is it unpopular? Sure. But what the city doesn't understand is the amount of tax revenue that they're giving up. And that's my point. My point is, I always like locations where the tax agreement is in place first, because when the tax agreement's in place first, they get hooked on that revenue stream that they literally did nothing for. It's hard. Think about it. If you had $67 million coming to you, would you want to protect it or make it go smaller? That's all I'm saying. Just use your brains. Now, that doesn't mean politicians use their brain, but you get what I'm saying. Let me go here to Robin. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you, when you take over whatever unit, do you furnish it yourself or do you have to own it?
Got it. So he's asking, do I furnish it myself? What is the answer? No. I do not. LaTanya, please stand. This is my goal. I sign the lease. I get the keys. I literally hand her the keys and then leave. I don't furnish it. Does that make sense? I need someone else to furnish it, because if you want it to look like this, you do not want me doing it. Okay? All right?
He is actually banned from the
Yeah. She does it. I pay for it, if that's what you're really asking. But I want it to be really clear how the system works. The system works best because I let her do what she's good at. I am not a designer. Never have I been, nor do I want to try to imitate one on TV. My point is, when you mess this up, because if you try it yourself, you will mess this up. Let me tell you how. You'll buy the wrong bed. You'll buy a bed that's not durable. You'll go to IKEA because you're like, cool, I can save some money on the furniture. And that will not work. It just won't. And you've got to get the right stuff that's durable. You never want to really ask what happens when the bed breaks, by the way. But you want to know that the bed could get broken. You just know that. It's possible, okay? But never ask, but you want to buy the durable stuff that needs to last. Hotels, on average, expect their furniture to last 7 years, which means it's durable. But you don't want just durable, because sometimes durable looks really ugly. And if it doesn't photograph well, you also lose money. All of those things have to come together. Function, form, design has to come together, and it has to speak to a particular person. We tend to serve our favorite customers or people like ourselves. When I'm traveling, I'm the business traveler. When we're all traveling, it's family with small kids. And my most favorite customer are medical travelers. People traveling for medical reasons. We have a lot of high-level doctors and clinicians out here. Which is also code for, yes, when you come, you want to do your plastic surgery and hide from your friends at our place? Come on in. I'm down for that. That happens a lot. So we will geolocate near hospitals for that purpose. Specifically. I got to go back here, then I can come back to you. Yes?
I also have a couple of properties that produce a great return.
Yeah.
And my question is, how do you deal with landlords? Because it's a big problem.
How do I deal with landlords?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Since you're leasing and subleasing, right?
Yes.
So, I mean...
Well, not really. The technical term is not a sublease, but yes, the concept is the same.
Yeah, because the first thing on the contract is you can't sublease the property.
Oh, got it. He's talking about the can't sublease thing. No problem. But we have that conversation straight up front. I let them know. Here's my wonderful phrase. What's your name again? Ottman? Yes. Hi, Ottman. I'm Jay. My company and I are looking to lease a number of properties in the area, and we were wondering if you're the right person to talk to about that. What did you hear in that phrase? My company and I. What else did you hear? Number of properties. And are you the right person? Right? We're already starting. At some point in that conversation, Ottman, here's what's going to happen. You're going to ask me, what does my company do? And then I'm going to tell you, hey, you know how at the hospital down the street, that what happens is that people occasionally have these outpatients, and sometimes they have family that want to stay somewhere, but they're going to stay there for a number of weeks. Well, what we do is we work with landlords so that we can provide them clean, safe, affordable housing so that when they come here to support their loved one, they don't have to stay in a hotel. Because that's what we do. Did I say I have an Airbnb business? That's where I get my customer from. That's not what I do. Does that make sense? Because we acquire our customers from many different sources. But let me address your real concern. Many of you, be honest, you gotten at least one tenant from Craigslist. Be honest. Okay? Correct. And when you get your tenant from Craigslist, what is the next thing you do? Screen them, right? So do I. So what difference does it make where I get my customers from? Don't hate on me because I'm a better marketer. Because that's literally what it comes down to. I do a better job of marketing your property, mark it up. That's legit my business. I screen them, and I make the difference. If you want to do the work, come on. If you don't, then I'll pay you market rent. That's really what it comes down to. Does that make sense? But we have this conversation up front. Now, the difficult conversation with landlords is helping them understand that when the roof leaks, I can't wait for Ray to come around 2 weeks later. He's got to be there really quick because I have a problem. This customer may only be here for 3 days, and if for those 3 days the roof just kept leaking, especially right now, we have to solve this, and the roof is yours, not mine. Make sense? That's the hard part with landlords. Wow, I love this. Yes, we go. Hold on. I promised him, and then I'm going to come to you. Lawrence.
Well, I mean, to piggyback on what he was saying
Okay.
regarding the actual agreement. So I've gotten into that level of having a conversation like that. I'm imagining probably most of the time that people are okay with you going under a corporation.
Yes.
You're probably talking directly to the owner, not a property manager.
Correct.
Because the property manager is going to be trained.
Property managers have been a challenge.
Right.
They have been a challenge. So have realtors. Now, I didn't want to offend anyone, but it's the truth. Realtors have been a challenge, but I have taken the time to train realtors on how to work with their owners so that it can work. But that's just extra work, and there's lower hanging fruit when I just go straight to the owner.
Yeah, no,
Okay, quickly, because we got a lot more to go.
sure. The only other thing I was going to say is a lot of the regulation that people hear about with Airbnb is tied to, or do short-term rental, is tied to that short-term rental. But what you were talking about is longer stays over 31 days.
Yeah.
Except for the city of Santa Monica, most other places in LA are fine with over 31 days.
Yeah, you can't help, they can't help but be fine. It's usually 28 days, but they can't help but be fine with that because that's the same thing you're already doing. You have a year-long lease, and if that year-long lease lapses, you end up going to a month-to-month contract. It's the same thing. So they have that is not the issue. The issue is always less than 28 days is usually the issue. But my point is there's enough business even greater than 28 days to where this could work if you still actually had to do it, but you don't, is really my point. And to that same point, what's really interesting is that the majority of the ordinances, and my friend, this is why I want to read it, only apply, listen, to R1 zone properties. How many of you just got a little bit more excited? Yeah, exactly. That got me excited too. That's why, like I said, my number one customer that I'm looking for is someone who is rehabbing a multi-unit property of some kind that's currently vacant and who would like 100% occupancy. Yes, I will get that sucker filled in a heartbeat. Because that's what we do. All right, yes.
So my question is, do you market your places in other
Got it.
channels like TripAdvisor?
Got it.
Booking.com and all that?
Understood.
My second question is, how do you manage all these properties in one platform?
Got it. Yeah, he's asking, do I market the properties on multiple platforms, and how do I manage that? This is where technology comes to play. The answer to your question is yes. Primarily, I'm a Booking.com, HomeAway, and Airbnb. However, depending on where the property is, that can change. For example, a lot of our East Coast students get a lot of business out of Expedia because remember, who do you want to serve also applies to that platform because they're doing a significant amount of marketing themselves and their customer has a bias. Because some of you will only use Booking.com, which is a different customer than we get from Airbnb, which is a different customer than you get from HomeAway. Because the way each of those platforms market skews the demographic. And that's fine, but you just got to know that going in. Now, it's software. It's a bunch. We have a tech stack of about 13 different softwares that we use, actually, in order to make it automated so that we don't have to manage the messaging and the communication, and it all comes into one spot, and then we hire virtual assistants to be able to watch the inbox so that if anything happens, it can get done and answered.
So what kind of software is that?
Well, I don't...
I'm managing 24 properties right now in LA.
Yeah.
And I've been going through different softwares.
Yeah. It's not just one, it's 13 together. That's what, because, are you familiar with APIs at all? Yes. Okay, got it. So it's 13 different softwares together leveraging their APIs so that they all have one uniform inbox. That's the number one thing that you need. You need everything, regardless of where it comes from, to come into the same inbox. And then once you got that, then you got to handle your phone, then you got to handle text. And once you get that done, then you got to handle calendar. And all of that has to come to one spot. And that's really what we do. What?
What's the name of like this one? Is what I'm asking.
There's not just one, there's 13. Here's what, you know what? You see Dave? Talk to Dave. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there's not, I wish there was a silver, but what you have identified, who's like the software tech super smart person in here? Did you hear the problem? Did you hear the problem? Okay, there's room for whomever wants to solve that problem. That is one of our biggest problems, is that I hate having... Perfect. That's exactly what I'm talking about, because that's what we need. What's that? Yeah, that's why I said talk to Dave. Talk to Dave, okay? I just want to get to the point to the other questions, because I don't want to, once we start going down this tech rabbit hole, it goes deep and quick. Yes, Stefan.
Two questions. One is, what does it cost to furnish a one-bedroom? I know it can vary, but like, so
Got it.
For me, Mario, one of our first units coming up, right?
Sure.
We have a huge budget,
Sure.
but we have a small budget to do it.
No problem.
We want to know what that is. And the second
Got
thing
it.
is something on my mind that I haven't experienced yet because I was so young during that time, but if the market goes down, right?
What market?
The real estate market.
Okay, continue.
Less people travel.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love this question. We're going to talk economics.
You can. I don't know. So it's just a question.
No, total makes sense. But do me a favor. See that lady right there?
Yeah.
Okay, good. You got that part. So that's number one. But typically, I tell people to start with a budget of $25 per square foot. So I can't tell you how much it's going to cost because I don't know who do you want to serve. But I tell people to start with a budget of $25 per square foot. So if you have a 500 square foot place, you know what the number is. 400, you know what the number is. 1,000 square foot, you know what the number is. That's where you start. Now, in full transparency, as you get better, that number can be significantly slashed. But you have to get better. But I tell you to start at 25 because if I tell you to start at 25 and it only takes you 20, you like me. But if I tell you to start at 15 and it takes you 25, you're upset at me. Does that make sense? That's why I do it. Yes. I'm coming, Deborah. I'm coming. Yeah.
Oh, me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. No, I just had a question as to whether or not you have experiences with condominium complexes that may have severe HOA.
HOA. I was waiting for that one. HOAs, I don't like them. I literally, if I see HOA, I just move on.
Okay.
There's enough low-hanging fruit to not have to deal with HOAs at all. Ever. Okay, Deborah.
Do you do everything in LA or are you managing it from a distance?
My intent, you're going to like this. The reason this got my interest is because I was looking at a hotel project in a foreign country, and I got a little excited about the idea of foreign country and daily rentals and all this other stuff. So the reason this started is because what I do is I build systems. That's really what it comes down to. And I wanted to build a system that could operate long distance. And that's how it started. So I've started in Orange County. We're in Long Beach. We're also in LA. And if you understand the traffic patterns, Orange County to LA is like a new country. Okay? So that's what we've been doing. We've been gradually extending it to go further and further. We had a student who started in Alaska, moved to Texas, but still has his units in Alaska. The system works fine. We have a number of students who work long distance this way for that very reason. Yes, sir?
I just want to make sure I heard it correctly. So you said that you take over someone's unit at market rate, and then you guys
Yes.
rent out the short term.
Correct.
So the owner will get paid
Market rate.
the market rate is like $1,300.
He's going to get his $1,300. I will stroke him a check for how many units? What's that? He's like, no, I understand. But yes, I write them a check for market rent every month. That's what I do. And then we make the difference in between. So the efficiency is all on me. The risk is all on me. Now, let me say it a different way. How many of you don't like rent control? Guess who's not subject to it? See? Really? Think about it. Yeah.
So how about the agreement you would write?
Okay, I got it. She's asking, how long of an agreement do you like? I like nothing less than 12 months. I've done as long as 18.
But do you renew it if it works out?
Oh, yeah. My intent is not to move. Honestly, here's my intent.
And now what about the rent? Would you increase?
We typically want no more than a 3% increase if that's what you're talking about. But here's my entire goal. I just want to be very transparent with you guys. The reason I'm looking for individuals who just rehab their property and are 100% vacant is because in approximately 36 months, I'm going to come back to you and say, can I buy your building? And I'm going to leverage the performance that I have proven with a lender for them to give me the purchase money. Does that make sense? That's exactly what I'm going to do. Yeah, go ahead.
One last question is that, so do you just do apartments or single family?
I prefer apartments. There are others who are okay with single families. I prefer apartments because I want efficiency and economies of scale, because I end up with more demand than I have inventory. That's my problem. That's like all of our students' problem. We end up with more demand than we have inventory, especially once we start developing direct contracts. For example, there's one person who's been working with the Long Beach government, and the cool thing about working with government is that they have this daily minimum. They literally say, we can't rent from you unless it's at least this much. And at least this much is usually $200 a night, which is way more than we need to actually make it profitable. That's also code for your government's wasting your money and giving it to us. But anyway, do you hear what I'm saying? And it becomes, there's so many little pockets of that, either direct contracts with medical offices. All of these things are there. It's just waiting for you to actually let people know that you exist. Yes?
So how much like what's the percentage? Do you pay like rent to the owners?
Yes.
Exactly what they would get from
Market rent.
From market rent. Okay.
Yes.
So what is the point for the owner to like go with you instead of hiring like a property management?
0% vacancy.
Well, I mean,
Have you ever done a turnover?
Let me finish. So what's the point for him to hire you and get like instead of like giving the place,
got it.
hire like a property management company that's gonna like charge him a percentage, like
Mm-hmm.
for him he's gonna be making more than market rate.
That was what you would think would happen. He's saying, why won't the owner just hire a property management company and make that happen?
Because they're paying that person.
Because one, they're paying that person, but secondly, I have not seen a property management company that can operate more efficiently than what we've been able to teach and train people to do. Every person who I've ever seen working with a property management company in the way that you're talking about, they're the ones who have the 60% occupancy. They're the ones who end up footing the bill. And the gentleman behind you is shaking his head very vigorously, which suggests to me he has some experience with this. We just operate more efficiently. And that's what it comes down to.
Well, it doesn't matter like operations. Like the matter is like the result, how much you make.
We make more is what I'm telling you.
You make more, but the owner is making the exact same price.
Correct. But when he goes to the property management company, he ends up making the same amount because they don't do a good enough job to make him more money. That's, huh?
How do you know?
How do I? This is my business, dude. I've been doing it for 2 years. This is my job.
How do you know that this property management is
Huh?
how do you know that this property management is not making him enough money?
Let me answer this guy really quick. I was just talking to somebody at a meeting.
Yeah.
He said there's property management companies that won't do what Jay does, but they're charging something like 20 to up to
40.
50%
Yeah.
of that money.
Yeah.
So there's no way you're making money.
They're not making more. They're just not making more. You're right. I agree with you. But the economics and the reality of the situation is it doesn't work out for them. Just doesn't. So they either learn to be the operator themselves or they just take market rent and let it be. Because that's what we're offering.
You go from paying 10% to a property manager, you're not paying any fee. If you're say if
Correct.
$2,000 a month, instead of paying that property manager $200 out of that, you're getting your $2,000 flush.
Yeah. Understand. I'm like a triple net lease, my friend. That's really what I'm trying to tell you. There's way more than 2 questions here. With that being said, I'm not going anywhere, so don't freak out. I know there'll be a circle somewhere. Wherever I am, come find me.
Jay, are you wanting a meal now?
What?
A meal?
Whatever my wife says.
Okay.
Yeah. How about that? Yes. So this is question 1.
Once the investment agreement with the landlord, who pays for the staging of all that stuff?
I do. We do. Another, yes. That one doesn't count, so that'll be 1. Oh, sorry. What's that? I understand. I know you were trying for a long time.
So, quick question. You said that you make revenue.
Yes.
Enough revenue to make the money that you put up front,
Yes.
and then you get to put money to the side.
Yeah.
And then after that,
Sorry, I got a little excited.
you start buying.
Yeah.
So you start.
Yes.
buying property.
You're getting it. This is phase one. Phase one is learn to get one. Once you get one, you get addicted really quick. Everyone tells me, I'm going to start slow. I'm just going to get one. Okay. What happens, what happens is they get one, a couple of customers come back and forth, and they're like, I got nothing to do, and I just made this pile of cash. I'm like, uh-huh. They're like, how can I get 5 more? It happens to everyone. And then that's when they're in the phase 2. They're like, okay, cool. What systems do I need? How do I scale this communication? How do I get on multiple platforms? How do I maximize pricing? How do I do all of this other stuff to make sure that I can always serve as many people as humanly possible right now? And that's when they get excited. And they're like, oh, cool, I like this. I'm like, yeah, makes sense. And then they still are only spending very little time. The income to time ratio is really what I'm talking about here, and it's completely out of whack. It's insane. Understand, with 27 units, we probably, on a day like today, we're probably going to do $3,500 of revenue today. And we'll do it again tomorrow and the next day. And that 1 hour makes no sense. Just, it's insane. But that's what we're talking about. And then what happens is because you don't need all that money to live on, you end up building over this reserve, what we call a profit account, that then allows you to go, you know what? I've got an extra 50 grand, 100 grand, 200 grand this quarter. Why don't I go buy, I don't know, an apartment building? And what do you think I'm going to do with that apartment building? The same thing. And you just keep doing ping pong back and forth, and you get to upgrade the quality of the real estate. That's what I'm overly excited about. That's what I want you to hear, because you don't have to understand how to do all of the fancy stuff at the beginning. You just need to know how to lease a property, something you have already done. That's all I'm asking. And then from there, you just add management skills. And then from there, we'll add financial skills. And then you're ready to go buy property. And that's what happens. That's why I get so overly excited. It's because our students start doing that, and then the questions change. Jay, should I buy a 20-unit building? Should I buy an 8-unit building? I'm like, you only been doing this 12 months. What are you talking about? Well, here's what happened. Oh, okay. That's what I get excited about. And they're doing it with such little time that they get to do things like fly to the UK and London and watch their kids play soccer all day and manage their property from the phone. It's insane. Yes?
So, not all the...
Sorry. I know. Okay, go ahead. Go.
Not all the units are going to look like that when you take over from the lease, right? So,
No, they never look like this when I get them.
so how much extent do you actually put your money towards construction? Or
Got it. I put nothing towards construction. I want a clean shell. Again, think of me as the triple net lease. I want the clean vanilla shell and the floor plan. And that's about it. I take that floor plan and the shell and say, LaTanya! That's literally how it goes. And I'm like, hey, here's what you're working with. Let me know when you're done. That's it. I don't want to make any other decisions. But my job is to deliver to her keys and a clean shell so that she can come in and go, okay, I know what we're going to do here. And it takes her, she's wicked. It's weird. She walks in, she's like, okay. I'm like, what is this? How do you know? But she just knows. And it always comes out right. Even, in fact, there was one time I questioned her. Let me tell you about this one. I should, but I didn't. I should, but I didn't. Understand, this is deep into it. We've done a lot of these at this point. And I walk in, and I see this most brown, mustard, yellow accent wall. And I'm like, silent, like, what is that? Did I pay for that? I'm like, LaTanya, what is going on here? It is a mustard yellow. You should not like this. Do not do this at your house. Okay, it's like, what is that? But in Long Beach, would you know that that is the highest grossing unit out of all of them. And I still look at it and go, man, that's ugly. But it makes the most money over month in, month out. The person who's there right now has been there since November, not leaving till May. Company paid for it. It's like almost $4,000 a month. It's ridiculous. It's a $1,350 a month studio. This should not be, but it is. Because technology is coming for your business, guys.
Okay, give him a hand.